What's up, fellow XJ Dubs / apostates? It's your boy Hawk with a little Sunday night talking squawk. You know, I'm sitting here watching these playoff games, and I get a inbox from a former J-Dub associate. You know, I'm a guy I haven't talked to in well over 15 years. Yeah, because it was like early 2008 last time we had actually spoke. And that was briefly, he was still in this kind of in his feelings a little bit over some shit that had transpired. I'll tell that story later on. It's, nothing that's going to humiliate or incriminate the homie. It was just basically some misunderstanding shit. That's basically what that was. Like nothing really, have a falling out over, but at that time I was on a different path. Had already planned my exit. And at that point I wasn't really dealing with nobody on the J-Dub front but my cousin and my young boy who are basically raised. But then that got me to thinking. He inboxed me. I hit him back, let him know I would get with him later. We followed each other on Facebook. I see, that he's an entrepreneur, so am I, plus a content creator on social media. So I told him, I said, I'm going to get with you later. I just, in here zoning, watching the games and working on a couple of projects. It's playoffs, so, it's that time of the year. But with my Sixers in the thick of it, it makes it all the more interesting. So I told the homie I'd hit him up tomorrow, and go from there. But my thing is, I wonder if he's done with the organization altogether, or is he one of those that's inactive but still believes in it? Or is he still actually in it but just doing this thing out in the quote-unquote world? For what I had a chance to glimpse of him on social media, I didn't really see anything that indicates whether he's still in or out. So, I'll find all that out. Because of the time I've been out, I've ran into few J-Dub associates, some who were inactive, and some that go here and there. But with every situation, there's always that they still believe. Talking maybe, we'll both go back one day. Like, I don't know if that's really their intentions or if they're just saying that to me because they think that's the time I'm on. But whenever they say that to me, I'll be like, nah, homie. That's an old life. There ain't no going backwards. But then, to their credit, a lot of them haven't really been exposed to that truth, that knowledge. Like me, I always knew that religion, cult was nonsense anyway. You know what I mean? Just because I was raised up in it don't mean I believed it. This is why I think the universe, for my older brothers and cousins, my pop, uncles, grandparents too, extremely knowledgeable people, and put me on a serious game from a very young age. You know what I mean? Believe it or not, I gravitated towards towards the J-Dub religion, mainly because my mom, sister, my close cousins, and my favorite uncle and aunt. For real, for real. You know what I mean? And some of my homies from my Winfield neighborhood. You know, that's basically what it wasn't. The religion part did nothing for me. It was more so about the association for me. And the thing is, I was a versatile J-Dub associate, meaning I had J-Dub friends who were straight-laced. I had the so-called double lifers, the ones who you would say straddled the fence, did things that the organization wouldn't approve of. Then you had the straight, worldly, I don't give a fuck type witnesses. You know what I mean? I definitely fit those latter two categories. You know what I mean? The straight-laced witnesses, you know what I mean? Like my cousin and a couple of the homies, they were the ones, they what I call like my basketball homies. We played ball together. You know what I mean? NBA 2K, went to games. We hung out more on the sporting type tip. Then I had my J-Dub homies that, you know what I mean, we smoke weed. You know what I mean? Hanging with girls, all that. So, those are my J-Dub associates. And I'm glad that my homie reached out to me on Facebook. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to conversating with him. You know what I mean? I got a real busy week. You know, I'm going to be at the game tomorrow here in Philly. Then I'm going to be at Brooklyn for the next two games after that. You know, somebody going to say to me, baby, I'll go to stop by the headquarters while I'm over there. But they're not in Brooklyn no more. They're in Wallkill somewhere, right? I said, man, I ain't wasting my time with that. What's the point of going up there? You know, that's the furthest thing from my mind. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about reaching out to my cousin, though. It's been a good 10 years since I talked to him. My last conversation with him, he snapped on me. He started calling me an apostate. And he got freaked out when I broke down those facts. I presented him with a whole bunch of information. You know what I mean? And the thing is, before we linked up, because he had hit me up on Facebook asking how I've been, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, we'll link up. You know what I mean? Have an air session. I got that good weed. And we'll chop it up, but don't have your homie there. You know what I mean? I'll get into that incident later, but this is about my cousin right now. So I presented them with all this information. He ain't know I was going to come with that. He started going off. You an apostate. Like, how can you say that you was raised? And I'm like, cuz you always knew that I knew that this shit was bullshit. I only was around it because of the family. He started talking about he's going to go back before it gets too late and I need to do the same. And see, the thing is, you know what's funny? Even though I started planning my exit from the organization long before I met my queen, everybody on that end blames her and thinking that she got into my head and brainwashed me with the church religion since she was raised in a church setting. You know what I mean? But I don't get into all that either. But it's funny that they blamed her. And when me and my queen first got together, that's really what, I mean, it further eased my transition, but it was already in the works before that. So I just find that funny. First of all, it's like y'all saying that I couldn't just have the knowledge on my own, that somebody had to influence me to do something. I said the J-Dubs couldn't influence me with their indoctrination. Nobody can influence me to do nothing. Only I can influence me. But yeah, that was the last time I had talked to my cousin. And it's like I be thinking about reaching out to him, because when I do talk to my one J-Dub homie, which is rarely, every now and then, it's probably been a couple years since we really chat. No, I'm lying. It's been about 6 months. When I ain't graduated, we talked, but we never really linked up. But she's always the one that tells me that she runs into my cousin here and there, and she said that the boy be looking real shot out. She made it seem like he was doing drugs. He was looking real bummy, so. And it's like, I've been thinking about reaching out to him, but I think back to when he went off on me, calling me apostates and all that. Always kind of second guessing. And I'm thinking, maybe I should reach out to little Cuzzo. You know what I mean? Because he knew when I was making my exit, he knew more about my plans than anybody. He didn't know everything, but he knew more than most people would know, because like those last couple years that I was around the J-Dubs, like 2006, 2008, and even when I first left the J-Dubs, probably like the first few months after I had officially left, he was like my closest ally on the J-Dub side. You know what I mean? He was hanging around with my non-witness peeps. When me and Queen first got there, the Queen took to him like a little brother. You know what I mean? When her family would have cookouts and shit, like little cousin would be right there. You know, but he let that organization get in his head. And eventually we kind of drifted apart. Then a couple years after I had left, he had moved not too far from where we lived, and I would see him here and there. We'd catch up, smoke, play some NBA 2K. But at that time, I wasn't really spitting no knowledge to him, because I knew he was still too indoctrinated. You know what I mean? He was disfellowshipped, then he went back. Then he was disfellowshipped again. So, and I was like, cuz, why did you even go back if you was just going let them humiliate you again? He only went back the first time because, you know what I mean, my aunt and my cousins, they shunned him. The only one that didn't shun him was my uncle. Shout out to Unc. You know what I mean? Because even after I left, I seen my uncle, we chopped it up for a minute. You know what I mean? And that was the last time I seen my uncle. So he was a real one with that. So at least cuz had his pop, but he was missing the rest of his family because everybody else shunned him. And a good portion of their family was J-Dubs, and they was all like, even his best friends was like, was one homie, you know what I mean? Even though I don't like this cat, but I gotta give him credit for that. He never turned his back on her, but Cuzzo still was missing the rest of his family. So that's why he went back the first time. But you know, my other J-Dub homie, she tells me how bad he's looking. I'm like, I think I might have to seriously reach out to him and be like, listen, cuz, whether you believe in that J-Dub shit or not, you know what I mean? I still, you know what I mean, got love for you. You know what I mean? I remember you when, you know what I mean, you was born. Because you're 3 weeks younger than my sister. So, I remember when y'all was both born. You know what I mean? You used to follow me and your big brother around. Man, you looked up to us. And, you know what I mean? You were my cousin, but you was my little homie. So, you know what I mean? I be thinking about it. But I'm like, the way that cult fucks with people's heads and robs them of their minds, soul, and their brain, with the way they fuck people up. You know what I mean? As time goes on and on. But you will hope that once time goes on like this, that cats would just wake up. It's like it's too much knowledge out here now. You know what I mean? Not just exposing the J-Dubs, but just man-made religions and cults, period. There's too much information out here. You know what I mean? So I'm going to reach out to Cuzzo eventually. But in the meantime, I'm going to hit the homie who messaged me on Facebook. I'm going to hit him up later, rap with him a bit. And that's the first thing I'm going to ask him, like, so you still J-Dub or... And see, this is why I be kind of hesitant to reach out to motherfuckers. Because once you tell them, because I remember before, one of my J-Dub homies that hit me up, and when I told him I was done with this shit, I went back to chat, dude had blocked me. I was like, damn. I was like, all right. I said, that's just your way of telling me that you still believe in that shit and that I'm an apostate. Cool. So that's kind of what I'm not so much worrying about, but wondering if this homie's going to be on that time when I be like, man, I had my baptism and all, because, like I said, I had stopped talking to this cat a good 6 months before that. I stopped talking to him before I got with my queen. And it's funny because they both got the same last name, Burton. So I'm like, I know y'all related somewhere. And it's funny that was one of the last J-Dub homies, you know what I mean, non-blood homies that I was rocking with before I met my queen. They both got the same last name, so I might even play that card. Like, you family now, cuz. You know now Burton Nation is affiliated with Hawk Nation. But yeah, if you start acting weird when I tell them about no longer being affiliated with that J Dub shit, I'm gonna be like, damn, dog, because his mom was real pushy. Not like real pushy, like on the J Dub tip. You know what I mean? I don't want to really put the homie out there too much before I rap with him. But here's a little quick story. This was about 2007, the end of 2007. You know what I mean? That was a good little period. That was the period where I was just out here doing me. You know what I mean? I was already planning my exit. You know what I mean? The ex was still, well, the divorce hadn't been finalized or nothing yet. But we weren't together. We were nowhere near together. We was definitely separated. But anyway, I'm messing with this sister that had a cousin. And the cousin started talking to my homie. I introduced him when we went bowling. You know, we had all went bowling. They hit it off. You know, we had smoked, whatever. Then, you know what I mean, whatever what led to whatever. We was at my apartment. And he didn't come home that night. It was a Saturday night. I got him home the next morning just in time for him to go to the hall. And he calls me, his mom tripping. Wanted to know who he was with and wanted to know my mom's name and number. I said, nah, this is not what we do. You know what I mean? First of all, I'm a grown-ass man and you might just be turning 20 or about to turn 20, but you're still an adult. You know what I mean? That's what young men do. We hang out late. You know what I mean? And I know he wasn't going to tell his mom he was with girls. You know what I mean? He told him that we was playing video games all night. She wanted to know where and what was the address and that person's information and were they witnesses. I said, nah. And that was probably one of the last times we ever hung out that didn't involve playing basketball or anything like that. I'm like, see, once you start bringing that kind of unnecessary attention my way, you know what I mean, I can't rock with you. You know what I mean, I had a lot of love for the young boy, so I said I ain't cut him off, but I'm like, no, you can't hang out with me on that time. But he still wanted to keep seeing the girl, but you know what I mean, she wasn't, you know what I mean, she wasn't for him. I'm like, if you doing the J-Dub, you need a witness girl. You know what I mean? Unless you break away from that altogether. And I knew at the time that's not where his mind was. But you know what I mean? 15 years later, a lot of things can change. Definitely. You know what I mean? Because I remember that the summer of 2007. 2007 was really the year he started rolling with me heavy. He was like in my starting five during that time. You know what I mean? We was going down south to Atlanta. We went to Maryland, when the J Dubs had this thing. Every winter they went down to Ocean City and would have a hotel for like a week. The whole hotel will be full of J Dubs. And like I said, at this thing, I'm going to get, this is a topic for a whole nother video. I'm a definitely, that might be the next story. That's probably going to be a good half-hour video because it went down there. But anyway, he went with me that winter of 07. That was the last time I went. You know what I mean? He used to roll up to New York with me when we was always hanging out in Trenton. Like I said, during those last couple years after my favorite cousin and my other main young boy, after they moved up to Pittsburgh, at that point it was, you know what I mean, my cousin, my other young boy I raised up, the young boy I'm currently talking about, the one that messaged me on the book, and another homie. So it's like that basically was my starting team my last couple years in the J-Dub org. You know what I mean? I got a lot of stories regarding that group too. You know what I mean? A lot more Talk and Squawk coming with your boy Hawk. But anyway, I'm going to keep y'all posted on my on the former J-Dub homie that hit me up on Facebook. I'm going to keep y'all posted on that. And stay tuned for the Ocean City story. This is your boy Hawk. Again, just a little Sunday night Talk and Squawk. I'm going to get back to finishing up this project and catching the rest of this game. And Hawk out.